Hey guys, it's Mary. Thanks for stopping by. So, if you are familiar with Tailored Expressions, you know that this is their signature color. And a package this big can only mean that I have another of the Quad of the Month kits. This is the second one. And let me make sure that you're going to be able to see this. I need to move this over for you because we're going to have a play with this. All right, so this is the second Quad of the Month Club Quad. Last year, maybe it's been a year and a half, Taylor started the Create in Quads. And what you're doing is you're making 4 card fronts at one time. And then last month, she started the Quad of the Month Club. And I did a video and I showed what it looked like. But I think if you're not familiar with it, it's hard to actually get the concept. So I thought that we'd have a play today. So let me get this one is called, and it comes with a little thing, Pattern Party. And it's going to make these 4 patterns at the same time using 4 different stencils. And then they've got some ideas on how they used the different ones, different panels. All right, so she says to always start with a mat. And the reason being because you have to do a little marking. So the stencils are 8.5 by 11. But if you use it that size, then you have to figure out, you have to cut some off. If you cut it down to begin with, which I have, then all you have to do is cut and cut when you're done, and you've got 4 perfect panels. So I've taken my 8.5 by 11, and I've cut it down to 8 by 10.5. So the stencils are labeled 1 through 4 on the very bottom. And they have these little squares that are registration paper marks so that you can line them up perfectly. They also have an etching that goes all the way around. So a normal 8.5 by 11 would fill this whole thing up, but then you'd have to go around and you'd have to cut all of this edge off to get it, before you cut it, to get the panels correct. But so if you start off, I'll show you on top. If you start, I don't know if you'll be able to see the registration, but if you start off with the right size and fit it into the etching, then it's perfect. So, all right, so I am going to put some repositional on the back of this. And then we are going to get this as even for you as possible. That looks good. All right, so when we take our first stencil and we go and line it up, and now you can use pixie spray. I don't like using pixie spray on my stencils. I'm just going to tape it down. So what I'm doing, I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, is I'm making sure that my paper is in the etched rectangle box. And then once, I think I cut my paper just a tad short, so, but it'll be fine. All right, so I'm gonna get this taped down, and then I'm gonna do the registration marks. And then this is the first one that takes the longest to line up. And then after that, it's easier, because we'll have our little marks in. So I'm using Simon Hurley's inks. I got them recently and haven't had time to really use them a lot. So we'll see. They usually blend very well. All right, so I'm taking my pencil and marking the inside of the box, because every stencil will have that open. And so our next stencil, when it goes on, we should be able to line it up with the boxes and do a visual inspection, you know, because nothing's perfect in life. But between the two of them, we should be good to go. All right. So we've got that taken care of. And we are going to start off using Rosy Cheeks. I just picked colors I liked, so they should work together. Let's hope. All right, so none of these have any little tiny delicate pieces, because this is pretty, you know, geometric. So we don't have to worry. You know how flowers will have little pieces that you have to be careful not being too rough with. But we don't really have to worry about that. So and I'm just taking my blending brush. So let me know in comments if you are familiar with Tailored Expressions, and if you're familiar with the Create A Quads that she has. When you're working with stencils, you always want to go in both directions if you're, so you get an even. All right, so we're going to do this one. And I am putting my hand here, my fingers here, just to make sure, since I'm not using Pixie Spray. But I haven't had luck with Pixie Spray as far as, I mean, it works, but then it still has that tacky. But maybe if I used it more, I'd learn how to use it better, and then that wouldn't be a problem. All right, so we're almost done with layer one. And that looks pretty good. doesn't need to be perfect, you know. We'll take these off. And then remove this one. And then go to our next one. And that's what we've got so far. All right. All right, so we want to make sure that number 2 is in the bottom right corner. And we're going to lay this over and we're going to match up those squares. Give a visual. That looks good. All right. So we'll put this back down. We're done with rosy cheeks, and we're going to use Slippery When Wet next. All right, let me put this one down. And I just want to make sure this is all down. All right, so Slippery When Wet is a yellow color if you're not familiar with Simon's ink pads. All right. So if you've used the quads before, let me know which ones you have. I have the, I think it was octagon, hexagon, the first one that they ever came out with. And then she's got some flower ones too. And I've got a birthday. She did some Christmas ones. Not sure why this one's not laying flat. So I'm going to hold it right there so I can get more ink up here. Let me know which ones you have. And also, since there's 4 stencils and 4 colors, and you can use more colors, like on the birthday one, you can use different colors for different layers of the cake and have more than 4 colors. But what's your favorite color combination? I always struggle with that, you know, trying to think of colors that'll go together. Which is why I bought the color cubes. Which I didn't really think would help that much in this case, but all right, we're almost done with the yellow. And that looks good. Oops, I almost dropped the brush. That would not have been good. All right, so let's take this up. I can't believe it. Summer's finally almost here. All right, look at that. Isn't that starting to look really pretty? The good thing about the kind of more all right, number 3. I just want to make sure I don't want to be talking a mess up. So I was going to say the good thing about the geometric is depending on what colors you use, you know, you can make it for, you know, feminine, or you can masculine. You know, you can make it sportsy boy, you know, just sportsy general. You know, you can make it for anything. So it's a good background for any type of card. So that lined up really nice, and it's looking good. There's nothing going on weird here. All right, so we're going to make sure those are down secure. And our next one is going to be the Tropical Tango. And that is kind of a turquoisey, greeny color. I'm using, it's off to the side, but I'm using a Tim Holtz Video Mat. And I've cut it into strips so that I can have my ink pads. I can put 4 ink pads on a strip, and then I have one that holds 4 mini cubes. And it's amazing how nothing goes anywhere. All right, let me make sure I didn't mess any of this up here, because that looks a little off right there. Okay. All right. Tropical, what did I say this was? Tropical Tango. I was going for bright and summery in my colors. So, like I said, what are your go-to favorite color combinations? Besides rainbow, because we all love rainbow. You know, I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't ever on my own think about like gray and pink, or, you know, gray and yellow, and when I see them together, they're just beautiful, but I just never think about putting them together. All right. I noticed something about this pattern, and I don't know if you'll notice it at the end, but it's with, I believe it's with this one that challenges my slight OCD. This Tropical Tango is not as juicy as the other colors were, so it's taking a little bit longer, so I apologize. And I bought them all as a set, so it's not like I've had one longer than the other. One more here. And over here, and then we'll be done with this layer, and then we are almost done. right, let's make sure I got them all, because I'd hate for you to be at home yelling, "You forgot one," and then I can't hear you. All right, looks like I got them all. And if you're yelling at me, I'm sorry. All right, let's undo this one. And then we've only got one left. All right, look at that. That is looking so good. All right, so our last color, I've got to throw in my favorite color, which is purple. And it's Crown Me. All right, so make sure that the number 4 is on the bottom. We're going to line these up. We're going to do a visual check, make sure nothing is overlapping with this one. There are a couple of them that overlap ever so slightly, and they're made to do that. This one is not made to overlap. So, all right. All right, so this is our final layer. And then bear with me, it will be easy to cut. And so the nice thing about it, you know, you got a nice color going, and then, you know, you can use any kind of sentiment you want. You know, birthdays, congrats, graduation is coming around the corner. You know, you can do it in school colors. You know, I know that most schools only have like 1 or 2 colors, but you can do it in shades or black and silver. And you know, you don't have to use just ink. You can use like a glitter paste, but that would have to be your last layer because it would have to dry. Or you'd have to do it in 2 sessions. If I do that, I prefer to do it as the last layer, and then I'm done, and it can go sit and dry while I move on to other things. So we are almost done. So since we've cut this down, when we cut it, we're going to cut it at 4 going lengthwise, and then 5 1/4 widthwise, and it should be perfect. And that's what I was saying, if you start with your card already cut down, then you don't have to worry about cutting before you make the final cut or doing the math. Because, you know, I don't craft to do math. And I'm sure most people don't. So with summer right around the corner, let me know, do you have plans for the summer? Are you going to do a big trip, or just stay home and relax? I just got back from my big vacation we took. So I went on a 7-day cruise up the California coast to Vancouver, British Columbia. That was our last stop. I'd never done that one before, and so that was different. And it was nice to see the we saw the Space Needle and went to a waterfall. So, all right, I think that's it. Weather was good. The sea was not. It was the first 2 days actually was the bumpiest cruise I've ever had. There were, they said, 15-foot swells. It was pretty rocky. All right, so here's our big reveal. And there it is. All right, so I love it. I love it a lot. All right, so can you tell? This is the one that makes my OCD kick in because there's blank spots. It's like, but I'm getting over it. You know, I kept looking at it and thinking, I can do this. All right, so let's make sure I can get this up easily. I'm going to get rid of this one. It's all inky. And then let's get our cutter. And we'll go down at 4. This is a new cutter for me, and so I have just a little issue with figuring out exactly where they think the line is. That looks good. Before we do this, let me unstick this so it's not sticking to my cutter, just in case I have to make ever so slight adjustment. This glue back here. All right, so we'll put it right on that line. And that looks good right there at 4. Then 5 and, what did I say, 5 1/4. Good, I checked my notes. 5 1/4. All right. And 5 1/4 on this one. Whoops, hold on. I think we're ever so slightly off a little bit here. Let's do that right there. All right, and there we go. All right, let me put this away, and we'll take a look at the panels, and then that's it, we're done. All right, so we've got that panel, we've got this one, we've got this one, and then we've got this one. And when they measure out, since they're 4 by 4, I was wondering if I didn't have a card. Since they measure out perfect here, we'll do this. You have room. You can also back it with a thin piece of cardstock, color cardstock, you know, to bring out, like pop up the yellow or something. So, perfect. All right, so that's it. So like I said, this is the second the second one of the monthly quads. But there's several, there's probably a dozen creator quads that you don't have to belong to a monthly club to get. I love them, and so when she came out with this a couple of months ago, it was like, I'm on board, because I like getting new things. We know that. And I like the idea of having a new quad all the time to play with. So that's it. So thanks for stopping by and watching. Leave me comments. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Also, if you subscribe, thank you so much. If you've been thinking about it, you can hit that subscribe button, and then the little bell will let you know when there's a new video. That's it. So let me know what you think in comments. So until next time, stay safe, stay well, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.